Okay, so we are still waiting for Hanwei. Actually, we are already live now. So while we are waiting, I think we could have a chat. So we're already live in YouTube because some are cannot join our discussion through Zoom, and we try to copy it to YouTube as well, this presentation, and we are welcoming Hanwei now.
Hello.
Oh yeah, there it says connected.
Hi, Hanwei.
Give me a sec.
Can you start your video?
Yeah. Hi.
Hello, Mas Han.
Selamat
Hey there.
malam, Mas. Look, I'm wearing batik here.
Oh, you're wearing batik.
You
Okay.
should have
Hey,
coordinated
Mas,
better before.
where's your batik, man? Where's your Indonesian pride?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're all saudara serumpun ya. We're all I don't know.
Nusantarian.
Nusantarian, yeah. And Dennis is also because he's a Jogjanese now.
Setengah Jawa.
Yeah. So our topic will be furniture, materiality, and cultural identity in Southeast Asia. And I would like to welcome you all. Thank you for joining me today for this conversation. I think multicultural conversation, because Dennis is actually from Germany, from Cologne, and now he is based in Yogyakarta, working, creating collection and brand called Santai Furniture, mostly with wood, bamboo, and rattan, and about Japanese, I think heritage later came as inspiration, if I'm not mistaken. Is it correct, Dennis?
Yes, very correct. Japanese culture, lifestyle, skills. Yeah, that's where we practically draw all inspiration from for our collection. Yeah.
Okay. So, what time you first came to Indonesia? Is it?
Oh, that's already a long time ago. Yeah. There was actually 2007, where I did an internship for the German Technical Cooperation. So it's a sub-organization under the German Ministry of Economic Development and Cooperation. And I was based in Central Java, in Jogja, Solo, and Klaten, to help local sectors to promote their items better on international fairs. Yeah, that's how I first came to Indonesia.
What year is that? Is it
2007.
2007, is that 13 years
13.
ago?
Yeah, 13. Yeah.
Jadi gimana bahasa Jawa? Gimana bahasa Jawanya Mas Dennis gimana nih sekarang?
Oh, lancar banget. Lancar banget.
Jawa.
Medok dari Jogja.
Oh, Abi.
Yes,
Abi. You used to do the virtual background thing.
Yeah, background? My background?
Yeah. No, our background. You want us to change it, right? I saw your email.
Yes. There's a way to change it actually. Well, Hanwei, I have to inform you that we already live in YouTube now.
Sorry, say again?
Yes. We will be starting in 4 minutes.
Okay. So do we change it?
I'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Why? Ariel?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay. If you want to try to set things up,
But
it's okay. Oh, Saril wants
I
to go pray, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay,
Salat Maghrib in Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, well,
So I would like to welcome also here is Hilda and Mahesa. They are our team that will have to become co-hosts. They will be helping to admit the participants that are going to join us for this conversation. And
right.
yeah. And yeah, I have to inform once again that thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Hanwei. Yes, you're already able to set your virtual background. It's cool.
Oh, great. No, it's only two. We cannot. Yeah. I tried.
And and I have to say that yeah, our session is sold out. And then we need to mirror and start the YouTube link because some participants that cannot join us through Zoom, they will be join us through the YouTube presentation. Okay, we will be starting in about 2 minutes. So Hanwei, the screen is okay?
Yes. Sorry, say again?
The screen is okay? The screen is good? Looking good?
Yes. Yeah, my screen is okay.
Where are you actually based in Singapore and why?
In Singapore, my office is in Paya Lebar.
Paya Lebar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I live along Holland Road. Yeah. So I live next to Holland Village actually, if you know it.
Yeah, I lived very nearby in Red Hill and Commonwealth during my studies.
Oh, okay. Just next door.
Yeah. I could even walk. It's one MRT station. Yeah, so sometimes I walked. Yeah. Good
okay, so you come to Singapore often, or?
I did one exchange semester in Singapore at NUS, and and also did my research for my thesis in Singapore. So in total, it was like a year that I spent in Singapore. So yeah.
I also did my student Austausch in Essen.
Yeah. That's not so far. Ruhrpott.
Yeah, Ruhrgebiet. Yeah. Yeah.
Abi, you say right when you wanna start?
Yes, just another minute. So there are already some people waiting on the waiting room.
Just lighting.
Yeah, I always see that on the top, people entering the waiting room. I don't have to do anything, Gan?
No, you don't have to do anything.
Oh, okay. So Abi, later for our presentations, we will be sharing our own screens, right?
Yes, you could share your own screen.
Okay.
Okay, we will be starting now. Are you okay?
Yeah.
So Mahesa and Hilda, you are free to admit all the participants, okay?
Evening. Good evening for everyone. Welcome to our session in Mayantara. Mayantara is a virtual design festival organized by ADPI, Aliansi Desainer Produk Industri Indonesia, or Indonesia Industrial Designers Alliance, and Indonesia Trend Forecasting or ITF, IDPI Aliansi Desainer Produk Industri Indonesia, dan ITF Indonesia Trend Forecasting. So joining here with us today is Dennis from Santai Furniture and Shahril from Shahril Faisal Studio, and Hanwei from Lanza Vecchia NW. So thank you for all the participants coming in. And first of all, I would like to introduce the participants, which are, the speakers, which came from various design backgrounds. And I think it is really interesting that here we are going to talk about furniture, materiality, and cultural identity in Southeast Asia. And we are happy that we have with us today Dennis Plumer from Santai Furniture. And he came, I think, to Indonesia several times before, several years ago, and then started to, I don't know, maybe gain some inspiration, and that brings him to creating the line, the brand of Santai Furniture that are still established today. Hello, Dennis.
Hey there,
Hi.
Abi. Thanks for the invitation.
Yes. Can you tell us about how it came to Santai Furniture? What brings you creating this kind of brand here instead of doing this kind of things from your company? From your country in Germany, because obviously you are in Europe and in Germany there are already a lot of well-established brands. And what makes you create Santai here?
Well, it rather happened by coincidence that during my studies, I started traveling in Southeast Asia and been to various countries just for traveling or studies abroad or internships. And slowly my focus of studies went into the direction of creative industries in Southeast Asia. And then through traveling to various countries, I observed more or less the same thing, that through influences of globalization, a lot of international products came in, which put aside local products, or local producers want to compete with the new products that come in, or also want to export, but they rather try to make products that are already a bit on a global style. So throughout the years, traveling through Southeast Asia, I was observing that actually local contemporary products are missing or not as far developed as I thought it could be. So that was the one observation. And then I made an internship in Central Java for 6 months, where I fell in love with Jogja, the arts, the skills, the style elements around it. And then I thought, okay, from those two observations, it became my passion to start a brand that is inspired by locality, by the local culture, the local style elements and skills from Yogyakarta, make a contemporary product out of it that can be exported, that can represent the true beauty of Central Java. So that's where the basic idea and passion came from.
Okay. So that's great, yeah. So someone from the far west coming here and seeing something interesting here, and get some inspiration, and then you're not only try to create the product as cheap as possible, if I'm not mistaken. try to create the product as cheap as possible, but you are also trying to improve the, like the detailed characteristics, the craftsmanship. Is that correct?
Yes. So I think that's quite different to other brands. I mean, I think Indonesia is quite an established area for international furniture production since decades, but from other brands, a lot of them have their design department in the country they export to, in Europe, in the US. So I think for most of them, they ship or send the designs and they just outsource the production here. So what Santai does is all the designing is inspired by the area. So I think that makes a difference. And yes, in terms of costs, from the beginning, that was rather secondary. The main point was always to create something that's really unique and making something new out of the local opportunities. Yeah, so the target of just producing cheap and big masses was never really the main goal at Santai. Yes.
Okay, great. Now I would like to welcome Shahril. Halo, Shahril.
Yes.
Apa kabar?
Baik.
Bagaimana Kuala Lumpur? Aman?
Hari ini, ya mendung hari ini.
Mendung, okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Shahril.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. For everyone, Shahril, personally, I think his work is quite extraordinary considering comparing with other kind of Malaysian design. So for me, Shahril is a pioneer of one of the young designers generations that's able to create contemporary design. Yeah, and it has been proven because you've won 2018's G-Mark, Good Design Awards from Japan. Is it correct?
Oh yeah, correct.
And you are also have been selected to be participants of Salone Satellite in Milan.
Yes.
For 3 times. Is it correct? 3 consecutive times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shahril has also worked with obviously woods because I think Malaysia as the second largest exporter for furniture in Southeast Asia have always been known for their woodwork and then the fine materials, and also rattan. Yeah? Where do you produce your rattan?
Actually, in Indonesia.
So
our rattan industry has been has been stopped since 90s. Yeah.
90s. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So yeah, but I think for 2 consecutive years, your rattan product has been selected for the satellite. Is it correct?
Yeah, rattan and bamboo.
Rattan and bamboo. Yeah. Okay. So Shahril, what's your activity now besides your studio?
Currently, 50% of the workload is being concentrating with the design consultations with the local companies.
Okay.
And another half is working on a brand of a furniture brand and also a kitchen project.
So, and I also saw that you have been participated in several exhibitions and fairs in Malaysia as well. Yeah? And also, you're creating your own brand, is it? Or you're just working with several other brands? Nocta.
I'm working with several brands, and I also work with a group of designers.
Okay.
We came up with a brand, local brand.
Great.
Yeah.
So we can wait to hear more about you, but now I would like to welcome Han Wei. Hello, Han. You're still mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry.
Hi, Han Wei. Nice batik that you're wearing, yeah?
Not bad, right?
Which batik is it? Is it from Jogja?
I got it at the airport. No, it's from Batik Curious, of course, because I was waiting for my flight. I mean, not now, obviously, but last time. I'm just like, Batik Curious. And do you guys know that this is actually do you guys know who Rich Brian is?
Right?
Rich Brian, the Indonesian rapper.
Oh yeah. Rich
So,
Brian, the rapper.
he gave a batik shirt to Diplo, which is a US-based DJ producer. Diplo, you know.
Yeah.
Is this exact pattern? Is this exact pattern from Batik Cruise as well? So.
So you're a Rich Hanwei, okay?
Okay.
So thank you, Hanwei. Long time no see, yeah. And
yes.
your project has been, you know, amazing and extraordinary. Together with Francesca, send my regards to her. I think she's having a summer holiday now, in Italy.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's great to have you here as well. And Hanwei is, I think, duo based together with Francesca Lanzavecchia from Milan, and also you have your studio in Singapore. So it's really, you know, you're like a little bit antithesis of Dennis actually, because Dennis is a European guy and coming to Jogja and doing something here, but then you are here from Southeast Asia, but your projects are mostly, I think if I'm not mistaken, are European or Italian brands, right?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm also see that in some of your works, you're always, you know, I think how to identify the culture itself, I think will be more interesting because it's not, you know, based on heritage, but I think it's based on more of the activity or lifestyle and everything, and that's actually what connects people around the world. Considering,
I think for Singapore, I mean, at least in my opinion, for Singapore, it's more of a way of thinking because I mean, number one, we are quite a young country, so it's not like, you know, like Indonesia or Malaysia for that matter. So although we do have commonalities in terms of culture, but I mean, Singapore is quite special in the sense that there's a lot of multicultural things going on. So I think design has always been kind of a culture in Singapore because we start from nothing and we design everything from housing to water, you know, to tourism, to business, you know. So I see Singapore as kind of like a work in progress design project on that level, in the kind of thinking. So it's always about inventing because we need to survive, and now to survive COVID, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be starting shortly. We'll be starting with the presentation from Dennis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dennis, can you share the files from? Oh, maybe I will be the one that sharing the files. Yeah, because
that's great. So no one sees the mess on my desktop.
So what are you opening?
Aware that I should share the screen. No.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all secrets.
Okay, we'll be starting shortly, and I would like to welcome all the participants together joining us here in Zoom and also YouTube. We are here together on Mayantara, a virtual design week organized by Aliansi Designer Product Industri Indonesia, or ADPII, and Indonesia Trend Forecasting. This event held from 12 to 17 August. So tomorrow will be our last day of series of the webinars, and together we will be hearing from all these outstanding speakers. There are Dennis, there are Shariel and Hanwei, and we'll be starting Mayantara very soon.
Okay, Dennis, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. You could start.
Okay, can you help to click through the presentation then, or can I do that here?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe because your intro question was already part of my intro, so could you help to click through the presentation a bit until I say stop? Yeah. So the funding idea, maybe one more picture or one more slide, the next one. Yeah. Okay. So in the intro, Abi already asked me where does the idea for Santai come from, and why, as a foreigner, why did I end up being here and create Santai? So me coming to Indonesia was rather by coincidence. I applied for projects all across Southeast Asia. So my interest for Southeast Asia was already there. Indonesia was the most unknown country to me at that time. And then I was based in Yogyakarta. And these are some of my impressions that I made during my stay in Yogyakarta, where I was not so directly connected to design yet, but I was really impressed, or in the long term now it shows inspired by these elements of local culture, architecture, skills. And at the end of these 6 months that I stayed in Central Java, I joined local furniture producers to the fair in Cologne to promote their products. Maybe Abi can help to click to the next slide. So what I observed at the fair in Cologne was actually a bit disappointing, because I had the feeling that the products exhibited didn't really transport the talent or the potential that I saw in the daily life. So I could either see contemporary, really great looking furniture where I felt they are unrooted. I couldn't make sense, how do they come from Central Java besides the material maybe. Then on the other hand, I found items where I thought, okay, that really expresses what I observed, but it lacked the updating to our current taste and make it a bit more abstract, reduced. So for me, it was either or, but not yet the mix of contemporary Javanese design. Next, Abi. So then the problem that I saw, or that I see, is if there are no cool contemporary designs that incorporate the traditional skills, style elements, a lot of the culture that we can observe today will be disappearing, because a lot of these traditional motives and skills, they are only still known by the older generation, and then the younger generation goes to cities or goes to other sectors and is actually not so interested in these fields anymore. So the worry is that the main reason why I actually came to Southeast Asia to see all these amazing local cultures are actually slowly disappearing and being overwhelmed by global products and global influences. So that was the idea that made me start Santai. And then please click to the next slide. So where I see Santai is at the intersection between, hopefully good contemporary design that incorporates the real elements from Central Java to preserve and to revitalize elements of local culture, so it can live on and can be a basis for further good designs. Next. So the starting process of all, of course, me as a foreigner, I can adapt to a certain degree, but I don't understand the culture as well as local designers, of course. So the starting point and the most essential part to have a good start with the first collection is actually the help from very well established designers such as Singhi Katono, Eko Prawoto, Agus Prabowo. So we had meetings once a month where we exchanged ideas, where it started quite from scratch. What is actually contemporary Javanese design? What are the influences that we want to bring in? So we traveled over the countrysides and observed and met once a month to create the basic ideas from scratch. Okay, next. So of course, what we do, design, we want to sell it. So the question is, from the customer perspective, what is actually needed or in demand in the moment? And next. So from my observation, also what I heard from friends and etc., is actually that within Europe, we are actually quite bored with the kind of design products that we can obtain, because there is innovation, but only to a certain degree. So there's engineered materials, etc. But the basic parameters repeat itself sometimes, and there's nothing that really strikes us as a completely new material or design language. So, I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit, but I think the basic feeling is there that we are really in search for something that really strikes us as wow, something like that we have never seen before. So I think there is a demand for something that's really new. Next, Abi. So just to highlight that a bit in a graphic, so it's that intersection. Of course, we have to abide by the basic rules of good design, and that's always the first point. It has to be functional and visually appealing, but there has to be a spark to it, something that feels unknown to us, or something that creates a curiosity, something that's maybe one option, something that comes from remote areas that we are not so familiar yet with. Next. So that's for the clients in Europe and the US maybe. Then from the local perspective, so in my case, for Indonesians, I mean, the clients that are able to afford for design items are actually in the bigger cities, and in the bigger cities like Jakarta, etc., local culture is actually fading to some degree and also overshaped by globalization. So then a lot of Indonesians that studied or worked, lived abroad, coming back, they also want items that represent their pride of Indonesian good product, Indonesian good design. And they actually miss that kind of heritage from their more rural areas, from Central Java or wherever. So there's a domestic wish to have something that embodies their own heritage that also we can show with pride, maybe to people from outside of Indonesia. Next. Okay, so next. So of course, a really good item that we design should be something that's not known, that really excites us, strikes us as something new. So one of my favorite designers from home, Dieter Rams, put it as his first point: good design is innovative. So where does that innovation come from? What inspires us? Next. So I mean, as you probably know, my background is rather in economics and Asia studies. So in the beginning, it was also a bit of a question to me: where does actually inspiration come from? Where do you guys get your ideas for a new design? And I guess one thing is being in the market, observing urban life, and seeing what are the new needs that are coming up, doing research, also engineering materials. So I think that's a very valid approach, and it creates a great design. It's just something that's a bit difficult for me to grasp. Where does really the idea come from? For me, it came more naturally to observe something that I've never seen and create ideas from that. So from something unknown that is not yet commercially used, that creates a curiosity in me. How could it be translated into a contemporary product? And the basic idea is something that Central Java or Indonesia has in terms of lifestyle and element added to the life or the lifestyle of a client in Europe, that so it can really enrich its daily life by an element of local culture that maybe in Germany we don't have. Next. So then there was more of an outsider perspective from the beginning, but then the more I got to know the design sector, I also feel that a lot of the designers also think and feel like that. So me as a German, naturally, I also look at designs from Sebastian Herkner, and there was one quote lately from Sanat that quite struck me, that this goes in the direction of what I want to do or I'm doing. So it says, so his passion for design takes him to the far corners of the world in search for almost forgotten crafts, techniques of manufactories that have a tradition going back centuries, to the crafts, sleeping beauties that can awaken from their slumber. So that's a bit what I personally felt for Yogyakarta. Yogyakarta has also been a sultanate, so there is something really magical and special that is waiting to be awakened. So it's interesting to see that a lot of designers also have that view to go somewhere remote and make traditional crafts available in contemporary items. Next. So remote areas, what can be the potential sources of inspiration? I think also in the title of our talk today, it's materials and culture. Materials, it can be the main building material, so to say. So it can be solid wood, it can be rattan, it can be bamboo, but it can also be aren, or it can be palm wood, etc. So it can be totally new solid materials that is very beautiful in its appearance. It just lacks the research to make sure it doesn't crack once it's sent abroad. Then the other part, I call it add or highlights, is a bit more for shaping a backgrass or the seed. So it's for the smaller parts that are not the main carrion items. It can be woven rattan here. It can be traditional fabrics from the region. It can also be for other items, could also be the local skin, for example, that is used for wayang figures. Then culture, I could think of main 4 points: function and habits. For example, that traditionally in Java, people eat on the floor and eat with banana leaves, for example. That's something that's not common in our culture. So that can inspire a product. Skills, of course, what's unique here is probably the weaving, the wood carving, batik techniques. So there's a lot of skills we will see here in the area. Lifestyle, we will come to, for example, angkringan, mobile bistros that are carried around in the streets. Style elements can be part of traditional architecture, can be part of the local script. So these were factors that I thought could inspire design of santai. Okay, next, Abi. Okay, here just some examples to share what I observed from Indonesia that really struck me as being innovative in its own way. Karun is a material generated from rattan that uses vacuum technique to insert color or glue to create amazing effects. And the material that was actually perceived as very traditional here is now used for highly modern uses. For example, with Tesla, they will use it for the interior of the cars. So a totally new application to an actually long-grown local material here. Then friends of mine who live in Berlin and Jogja created the brand Popolo Batik, creating contemporary fashion from the locally grown batik sector. And they were approached by Star Wars to create a line together with Star Wars. So a very local skill applied to Hollywood movie background. And then one product that I always liked since the beginning is from Francis. That refers to the eating habit that we take a banana leaf and eat in that habit. And then he created a product resembling that shape from coconut wood. Okay, next. So how is santai inspired by Jogja? So first, it starts with the logo. So you see, we derived the logo from the local script Hanataraka. Then for the colors, from the batik wax, and in general, Java has very earthy colors. So that's how the logo came up. It further inspires also, for example, how we write, how we communicate with clients is very humble. So is the local culture. Next. An example for product design, we designed a table set together with Singi Katono. It's inspired by the local Angkringan lifestyle, I would say. And from that basic idea to have mobile furniture, very light and multifunctional, we created products that have woven rattan, so they have the light element that can be foldable, movable, and the design language also inspired by the traditional script Hanataraka. Next. So this is the first generation, so to say. We called it Angkringan. So the chair you see is An and the table is Kring. So you see that lining shapes is derived from the script, and then both have foldable elements, and the table was meant for urban flats, for example, where you don't have so much space, so you can quickly change the function from eating, playing, working. So that's why we added that second layer. Next. Then in the next pictures, I just want to show you how the ideas develop into further generations. So here for the table, we still have that lining, but Singi had the idea to open the leg to create an element of stability. Then for the chairs, there's a doubling line just at near the backrest. So it also still has the accents from the script, but already further abstracted than the first line. Next. Then lately we have more hospitality projects. So we further abstracted the design language to very basic shapes so that if there are 20 or 30 of these items in a room, it's not so overloaded, but you see the basic shapes of the radius, etc. is still there. So to show you how it develops into a more abstracted way. Next. Where else can innovation come from? It can come from a new material that is already used here since centuries, but now used in a new way. So at Santai, we really like and focus on bamboo. Next, Abi. So the bamboo we find here in Central Java is bamboo petung, which is the giant species of bamboo. And bamboo has been the first material ever used in Central Java for houses, for furniture, for platforms, before solid wood products were actually used here. So until now, you find some of these basic items like such a platform on the villages. Next. Then there's a traditional roofing structure where the bamboo pole is actually split and a double plank structure is created that has a more linear look and an enriched or enhanced strength. Next. Then another great ability of bamboo is its elasticity. So here we have the pikulan, where people carry really heavy weights for food or also sometimes stone elements. So it can carry a lot of weight through the fiber structure. Next. So in that combination of it's a local material, it has its strength. So we came up together with Eko Prawoto for the Linchak sofa, where we used the elasticity from inspired by the pikulan in the center, connected by rattan weaving. And for the strong frame around it, we use the double plank structure. Next. So once we understood the basic technique, we could also think of follow-up products. This is our Wonku stool, where you see one next step of joinery, where a rectangular shaped bamboo piece actually sticks all the way through to the outer surface to create a strong joint. Next. Yeah, this is at that time then the full collection, and from there on we started to add new items. Next. So again, when we started, the material was really new to us. So we didn't know how to form the joints. So we started with metal. And now in the longer run, when we started to understand the material better, we were able to create joineries that are fully from bamboo. So I think that shows quite nicely how when we continue to research with the material, we find really good solutions and innovative joints from materials where there are no established joineries yet. Next. Okay, this is also from a younger generation of our items where we use the elasticity, but in a smaller way for the slats for like an easy chair. And we also start to use a new rattan that fits for that need to keep the strength. And also we experimented with finishing. So now we can also do a nice finishing of bamboo in black where you still see the fiber structure. Next. So then the latest is that, okay, we started to learn how to use the bamboo in smaller rectangular planks. So what we are working on in the moment is a small foldable table that can be used in the bed or on the floor, also to target to the local culture of working on the floor. So how you can see from the rendering, it will be in 3 layers. So we experiment of the bamboo in the moment. So it's quite a different idea how it developed from the beginning. Okay, next. This is a point already going in a direction of a conclusion. For new materials, for development with materials, it was difficult for us to find production partners who are willing to do all the research with us and are also willing to invest as much, because it takes time to have a product that we can sell from it. So we kind of created our own small lab in Yogyakarta with a handful of craftsmen where we can really create and also research as much as we want. Next. You can actually see that the preparation of bamboo is quite a long process. So we have to split it in planks, we have to dry it in the oven, same as wood, and we have to give a treatment so that it's safe from insects and from mold. Next. Then from the machinery that we use, it's actually quite comparable to woodwork. Just some shapes, because the bamboo is rounded, we have to work manual because it cannot be standardized by machine. So maybe there's also a different way to approach the material by normal carpentry tools, whereas the rest of the traditional sectors in Jogja would do the whole thing manually. Next. Okay, lessons learned. Now that we are doing santai since 8 years, actually, since the founding. So working with new materials is really a challenge until now. Also with the bamboo, it's so you have to be willing to invest a lot of time and lessons learned. It's also not easy to work with home industries because they are not the kind of supplier we know from established sectors that also help to create their own innovations, but you have to be very much involved in also solving problems for them. Also because it's usually quite small, it's not so easy for them to upscale or stick to targets. So having that new level of design is difficult in the execution with the local partners. Then what I try to show in the examples is what I learned a lot is incremental innovation. So it means that we continue a skill that's been growing for centuries, and the next step that we do was not directly ready for the market or not directly the most contemporary, but we also needed a few steps until we have a product that is considered as really innovative. But I think the main point is to continue skills that are locally grown and not try to start from something that is a totally not common skill in the area. Then I spoke about it with Abi a few times. What can help us to promote our products better and more is actually really telling all the stories of the inspiration of the item, of the skills, of the difficulties we have. So when we exhibited in Cologne, people continued asking and asking and asking. So there is a real interest. So it's good to really tell the background stories, and also a reminder to me to do that more again in the future. Sorry, I think there was one more point, Abi, from the previous one. So when I came to Jogja, it was the previous one. It was actually my thought, how can our design help to preserve and revitalize culture? Now it's only secondary. Now I learn, okay, how can the culture actually influence the design? So it's actually, back and forth between culture influences design, and then design hopefully helps to preserve and revitalize culture. Abi, is the time short, or can I still say something about ASEAN? 2 minutes. Okay, Abi is gone. So from the last slide, I just wanted to say a few things about ASEAN. So I think what I'm doing in all across Southeast Asia, there are these small clusters with amazing skills and materials that have not yet been tapped into. So I hope that a lot of the local designers will also go there more and work with the local older generation and older skills, help to promote them to a level where it's a bit more commercial and industrial. And once that is the case, I think it would be great if there are also external designers coming to these clusters, give impulses for the local sectors to up. So I think that would be a great thing for designers from Singapore, since there are not so many locals. So I think it would be great for Singaporean designers also to go into the region and Southeast Asia and go into the really small remote clusters and help to create new ideas. So what I did here is just a sample of the traditional skills and clusters that I find around Yogyakarta. And yeah, maybe as an ending point, that's a bit of my goal or dream for the future, to step by step add more of these traditional skills to the product range of Santai. So hopefully in a few years down the road, we see more of these skills at Santai products. Yeah, I think that would be it from my point, Abi. You're still muted. Nah.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Sorry, I was trying to back the slides, but then it's just going forward.
Yeah,
so,
no problem.
Thank you for the presentation. So, if I'm not mistaken, you're also working with several local designers, right? So, and it's not only like young designers; some are really prominent. Even, can you talk about it a little bit?
Yes, I think I mentioned for the Anklingan set, it was designed together with Shingi Katono as well as the Kosi Santai set. And that, of course, is and was a very essential part of Santai because they understand the local culture. They also have the wish, for example, with Shingi, we cycled over the villages in Temanggung. And since a longer time, he observed that there are these really beautiful chairs from the 60s and 70s that get neglected. And they used to be in the most prominent living room. And now they are on the verandas and not maintained anymore. So the weaving is damaged, etc. So it was his wish since a longer time to redesign or to upgrade the design to the taste and the needs now, so that they also become more popular and more used again. So I think it's a good combination where my interest and the interest of the local designer also comes together. Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. So you're not only seeing the potential of the heritage, try to identify the Japanese heritage, but you're also working with the materials and collaborating with the designers that are you could find around Jogja. Is it correct?
Yes. So the hope is that from the design thinking, materials, skills, the way how we promote it is all from the local sources. Yeah. So whenever we think of a new item, we see what's really available here and what can we make out of it that serves contemporary need in the cities. So thankfully, not only the skills, but also there are a lot of great designers here in the area. Also Eko Bravoto, Bagus Prabowo. So I think all the ingredients and thinking is here. It just had to be put together with a clear target. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. And we'll be moving to another speaker. I would like to welcome Shahril. Hi, Shahril.
Hi.
Are you ready for your session now?
Sure.
So, okay, I will start the screen share in a moment. I will try to start the screen share. Okay. Or can you start it, because it seems there is a trouble from my sides.
Okay.
Try. I'm sorry. It's when I open your slides, it's a bit freezing.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So there's no slide, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen you. Okay, I will try again. Yeah, I will try again.
Okay.
Sorry for this technical issue.
Shahriar?
Yep.
Oh, now it's working.
Yeah. So I start now?
Yes, please. You could start.
Okay. So yeah, I was born in, I'm from Kuala Lumpur actually. And I was graduated from University of Technology Malaysia. During that time, it was in Skudai, Johor. And then right after graduated, I joined Shimano, as you know, a multinational company producing bicycle components and fishing reels. So I was in the fishing reel department. I worked as a product designer for about 3 years. And then I moved to become a different field of design, which was as an automotive stylist. So during my time, during this time, I designed components of car parts like body kits for various companies like Nissan, Mitsubishi, Suzuki. And then it was on 2013 when the Malaysian Timber Industry Board organized a design competition where they look for a young bunch of designers to represent Malaysia in Salone Satellite in Milan, Italy. So I was one of the 5 first designers that was exhibited in Milan on 2013. And start from there, I switched my design field to furniture. And year after that, I established my own design studio in Kuala Lumpur. But right after that, I have to relocate to Delft in Netherlands because of the family matters. And then I stayed there for about 5 years. And I came back on 2018. So during those time, the job is mainly based on design, service, and consultation with a local manufacturer. And on 2019, together with the designers from Tangam Group, we came up with a brand called Antara. So this is the brand that focus more on the solid wood, fine solid wood furniture, not mass type of furniture. And the current project is I'm working on the Benua kitchen, which is a kitchen cabinet business together with the showroom and combined with the Antara furniture. Okay. So as a design approaches, I would say my it quite sometimes to analyze your own design style actually. So it start with a multiple kind of practice or design activities that you try to get to know yourself. It's like the right brain of the left brain of yours try to understand how your right brain works, how the creative brain actually works, and which kind of tendency it has on the certain design phase. So the DNA is usually constant and will evolve slowly. So, but to come up with inspirations or design story or design like a cultural arts and design, it can be various and interchangeable. So you can be either focus more on the cultural, material, or the functional of parts of the product. Okay. Next. So I start with the cultural. So this was back in 2014. So it was also exhibited in Milan during that time. So I draw the inspiration directly from Wabulan, which is a kite from east coast of Malaysia. So the idea is try to read those design elements from the craft itself and translate that into a furniture. So the language of the curve and the lines, proportions, and the positive and negative space, I applied directly to the chair. Next. So from every angle, it will tell the chair is really dynamic, like in the kite itself. Next. So this was 2015, 100% bamboo chair, which was inspired by Serambi. So Serambi is actually a section of Malay houses where it is open area. So it's a melting point of where people meet and have a meeting without have to enter the house itself. Okay, so you can see on the next slide what I meant. This is the area. So I try to get the spirit of the airiness and the openness of that space, and then translate that into a chair. So the chair will reflect the lines, the negative space into the chair. Okay, next. Another inspiration draw from our culture, Malaysian culture, which is tanjak, or you can call it tengpolo or headgear. You can find it in every Malaysian notes. So it is actually a craft, an arts made out of folding a cloth, a single piece of cloth. The limit is endless. It can be used to identify different people from different area just by looking at the tanjak during those time. So this kind of working principle, I then turn into a contemporary furniture. So as you can see down there, we call it tanjak sofa directly. Next. Sometimes it can be also from the food itself. For this matter, it is a curry puff, which is as you can see, I take the inspiration from the delicacy of the age of the curry puff itself, and then translate that into a clock dial. Next. So this sometimes it can be multiple kind of inspiration where I mix into let's say a single theme. For this matter, for this project, it was a tropical theme. So those are keywords that I came up with, like minimal and loose, casual and airiness, which really link with those tropical theme. So the chair, next slide, you can see the chair, which draw all inspiration from this. So those negative and positive space that you can see on the flip flop, then you can see it translated onto the lines and all the form of the tubular legs and backrest. And the way the tubular encapsulate the wooden backrest and seat, it is looks a bit loose. Try to mimic those casual vibes of design. Okay, next. Another approaches, it could be from materiality and production technique. So this was project we tried to get village people to do without using machinery, big machinery, or how to say it, more on the craftsman of using a single piece of knife. And we tried to retain the original profile of the bamboo itself. We are not trying to split it and then combine it to create a new object. So by using a single piece of bamboo pole, we tried to come up with a beautiful vase that can be done in the village by village people. Okay, next. So all those details, it is 100% handmade using a single piece of knife. But to make things faster, we can use like basic hand tools like hand drill to make a hole and to make some buffing and finishing for the surface. Next. So all those traditional tools that we use. This was a trestle, also the challenge 100% bamboo. Using the bamboo pole, we came out with also the technique which inspired from the 3D kite, where we use a pipe to join the metal rods. So this kind of working principle, I translate that into this. So where you can see the white pipe is also made out of bamboo, but we put it in the white color to make it more noticeable. Okay, next. So it's all 100% bamboo. Okay, next. Also basic things, hand tools that we use, like hand drill and a Dremel. Next. This rattan chair. So the idea is that to minimize the usage of rattan, but gain the same strength as combined rattan. So the idea is try to split and then join back the structure to make it look slicker and more continuous. Because rattan usually you need 2 or 3 parts to support the structure of the where it tends to be load. Okay. Next. Yeah, this but this prototype, it was made in Cirebon, of course, in Indonesia. This also rattan. So to make it more contemporary, we combine with the modern material, as you like. For this, try to expose or try to reveal the characteristic of rattan, which is a very flexible material. So it can act as the plasticity or elasticity of the rattan can actually as a backrest where it can absorb like a kind of spring, if you like. Okay. This is more common like metal and wood. So the idea is to, without use too many material, again, the shape of the tubular metal can interlock with the wooden top. So it can be flat pack for productions or transportation wise. The same principle this is a joint chair, which was designed back in 2015 for Mobilio in Italy. So the idea is to see the new way of joining materials, different materials, like wood, plywood with tubular metal. Okay. So other one, it can be also derived from art and design fundamental, like color, texture, form, and shapes. So for this, we draw inspiration from the Malay traditional house, where we extract all those elements, like those tactile lines and texture, and then we translate that into a contemporary furniture. Okay, next. So as you can see, those repeatable patterns or line now at the outer shell of the sofa. So it can be provide more, the modern house can have the more warm vibes of the old houses that we have back in the village. Okay, next. So another arts and design fundamental, where we draw inspiration from the various texture, materials, and colors to have something like more fusion of modern kind of approach. This was designed for Elite Bed from Switzerland. So the idea is, you can see the next slide, to have various endless combination of material and color. For example, if you can see the beige and the gray color, it's more on the warm, inviting kind of approaches, but the monochrome is more masculine, more modern, just by changing the color and also the texture of those combinations. Okay, next. This was I designed this for Nocta, which was the one that you mentioned earlier, which won the GMA award in Japan. So the idea is also arts and design fundamental, where we combine basic shapes and geometrical shapes, rectangle, triangle, cube and rectangle. But we do take the TV also into account when we design this, to have like the perfect asymmetrical balance, because of this product is meant to be a TV. So the TV itself will act as a part of the product itself. Okay. Another approaches, it can be from biomimicry or functionality. For this bamboo jar and mug, the inspiration was drawn from the hornbill birds from Borneo. So you have the oversized spout of the jar, which also uh, exaggerating by putting different colors. And you have cups, which is ergonomically you can hold those cups comfortably by adding a different cut of bamboo and then join back together. Okay, next. So actually a single piece of pole, and then you cut on certain degree and then you join back. It can also drawn from other nature, like those invisible elements like wind, because we cannot see the wind, but we see what the wind does with those surrounding, like this all the I don't know, this is I guess grass, dry grass, for example. So all those movement but translate that into a chair, which is kind of wind, but in the freeze moment. So the line and all those elements and the spirit of wind is being captured into a piece of furniture. Okay. I guess that's all. I can't hear you, Abi.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
Cheryl, for your presentations, and I think it is really interesting because you are also explaining your design thinking process, or the way you get your inspirations, and it is it is like basically saying that the inspiration of designs could be, you could get it from everywhere, in terms of cultural, in terms of environment, in terms of materiality, technique, and process. Is it correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And one thing that also intrigued me is actually, even though you have or you based your inspiration from something that is already having a really a strong articulate shapes or languages, you are able to what's it called? Yeah, you are able to simplify, or you are able to reinterpret this kind of concept. So it became really seamless. It became really contemporary. So what brings you to this kind of approach? It is, like, for example, the papan sofa. So it came from the traditional housing with all these ornaments, but then all contemporary. So what brings you to that kind of shapes?
So we try to do as subtle as possible, because the current generation doesn't really appreciate. I mean, the majority of it more tends to like modern furniture from West. So in order to fulfill that market, but we don't want to lose our heritage, we embedded those subtle elements into design without them realizing it. So it's like a secret code, if you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you do it with all your other designs, yeah. Even though you get your shapes from, for example, the inspirations from the wind chair, and also the I think the cattle. So people wouldn't know that it derives from a certain kind of animal if you see objects. But then the story that you are sharing about the inspiration, that that brings more interest. Yeah.
That was what I experienced from those exhibition in Milan.
Yeah.
People at the first glance, people will draw attention to your product, but when you explain the story behind it, they become more engaging and they become more interested to find out more about the story.
Yeah.
So I guess the visual came first, and then the intelligence came later, and then it time to bind all the emotional connection after that.
Yes, that is really great. And you also derive from the heritage, from the culture, and all these kind of aspects, and able to make it more subtle. So now, thank you, Cheryl, for the session. And now we will join with Hanwei. Hello.
Wrong flag.
Anway,
Yeah.
besok Indonesia Independence Day. Tomorrow Indonesia Independence. You batik. Batik is already a souvenir for Singapore in Changi, and then.
Yeah. We just had our National Day last week, so I
Oh
have
yeah.
this prop lying around.
Ya, jayalah Singapura, selamat ulang tahun Singapura dan Indonesia. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
I will share my screen. Okay.
You could share your screen. So yeah. So you're ready, Hanwei, and yeah, you've seen what Dennis and Cheryl has been doing. So we are so excited to see your presentation. So feel free to share when you're ready.
Okay. So this is Francesca and myself. We started our studio 10 years ago. We met while doing our masters also in the Netherlands, in Eindhoven. So that's where we met doing our masters. And for us, design is something that we want to bring impact and value to the end user, the client, to humanity, of course, to make lives better, because that's the original mission of industrial design, which both of us had our bachelors in. And how we interpreted Southeast Asian design is actually more of the youthful energy that is in Asia. When you tell anyone about Bangkok or Jakarta or Bali or KL, all these wonderful places, you think about a lot of noise, a lot of sound, a lot of energy, a lot of neon colors, a lot of exciting things happening, a lot of new concepts happening. So I think that is the part of Southeast Asia that we kind of grabbed onto. Yeah. So these are some domains that we've entered through our 10 years of being in this domain. Aviation, helicopters, healthcare, childcare, furniture collections, industrial design, of course, limited editions, artisanal objects, fast-moving lifestyle goods, interior finishing products like tiles, and also trade show stands. So we like this scale from very small and very unique to very large scale, and also maybe sometimes it's an environment that you experience. So we like all these kind of insights so that it fuels our design project. So when we see things, it's not just a detail, but it's also the environment, it's also the cost, it's also the manufacturing, all these things. We like to see ourselves as being able to juggle all these things at once while producing the design in the center. Yeah. So some brands we've worked with, Caplini, Herman Miller, MS, Living Divani, Benz, and lately Zenota. So this is our latest baby. It's a dream come true because, as you know, Zenota is a very established and iconic Italian company. Like since the 50s, Castiglione had designed for them, Munari designed for them. So it's a very critically acclaimed company, and we started our design language by understanding the craft, because Zenota is a company that is high end, so they can achieve finishing, upholstery, metalwork, wood, whatever it is, to a very high level, to very high Italian craftsmanship. So we wanted to communicate that. Yeah, so we wanted something that was very structured in terms of the material, in terms of the upholstery, something that hugs you. Yeah. Something that is, when you look at the chair, you want to go into it because it looks so comfortable, but at the same time, also very light, like this beautiful dragonfly. Yeah, so there's some inspirational sketches for the chair. So it's a dining chair. So we're just thinking in terms of the context. When I come home, I'm tired. What do I want? A hug from my wife or from my partner, from my kids. But maybe when I sit down, it's also a hug from the chair. So that's something that we imagine everyone sitting around the dining table and being hugged. And a strange, not a strange thing, but the unique thing about this also was that the people in charge, the creative director in charge, said that, hey, you guys are half Asian, right? So do you please design in some Asian insights into the furniture, right? So I went to talk to quite a few dealers in Singapore and also in the region of like what is a good dining chair, right? And they would tell me like, oh, please make it open back, you know, so that crumbs and dirt and from the food and eating or from daily life doesn't get trapped in the closed back in a closed edge where the seat and the backrest where the seat and the backrest meet, something like that. It has to be light, you know, because apparently Asians really don't like heavy chairs. So it can be a beautiful chair, but then someone lifts it, said, nah, we don't buy it. And I'm not talking about just a house, it could be a hotel, you know. The boss could come like, too heavy, man, the chair, and then stop the 200 chairs, 300 chairs, 500 chairs deal over because the chair is heavy. So it's something that we also, in terms of appearance, in terms of, so all these things from the marketing to the design to the feeling that we want to give to the user, these are all things that we needed to balance. Yeah. So this is the chair, and what's unique about this detail is that this line also hides the zipper, the zip. So this chair and this part is kind of there's a part line here, so the seating component isn't so heavy. You know, you get this refined lightness about the seat. This also hides, yeah, I said before, also hides the zip. So which means that these two components are very easy to replace if they get, you know, dirty or damaged. So this is also thinking forward towards a contract projects, you know, like restaurants or hotels, you know, this kind of thing. So we had to design things into it. And yeah, this seam also gives it a very tailored look, you know. So and it also shows off the craftsmanship of the company itself. So these are the stories that we need to get in as well, you know. Their story, our story, somehow, you know, it's like a two parents coming together, merging DNA, and then you have a new baby. Yeah, so this is a baby between us and them. Okay, so that was international kind of project. So today I'll focus a bit more on Southeast Asian inspired projects. So this was a project that we did for Journey East, which is vintage reclaimed furniture dealer in Singapore. They've been doing it for the past 20 years. You know, they buy a lot of vintage furniture from all over Indonesia, and they bring it back, refurbish it, and then they sell it into Singapore to pretty cool people. Yeah, so they wanted to move forward in terms of who is the new Southeast Asian consumer, you know. So we had to, this thing, so even before we started to design the furniture, we actually did quite in-depth marketing research into like, okay, so what do people want? How do they live? Like, who is this person who's going to buy this new furniture collection, right? So we found out their age between 25 to 35. They stay in HDB, which is our public housing. 90% of Singaporeans stay in HDB flats. So 60% will be from HDB public housing and 40% will be from condominiums. Maybe they're entrepreneurs. Usually they work in the creative industry. So, you know, when you work in a creative industry, you are more open to having an eclectic mix of pieces, right? And that definitely they are influenced by social media. So that means that we need to make sure that in terms of marketing, in terms of art direction of the photography, it all needs to be catered for the IG or for the socials kind of facing, yeah. So yeah, so this is our mood board. So as you can see, some of it is from Singapore, some of it is from Jogja. In fact, this beautiful old lady is a flower seller in Jogja. So we let ourselves to be inspired by all these beautiful colors, you know, all this life. You know, there's just so much exuberance and energy in Southeast Asia in terms of the people, but also in terms of the culture, in terms of the food, in terms of the vegetables, in terms of the flowers, in terms of fruits. You know, everything is just so even spirituality. Yeah. So this is the first collection that we came out with for Journey East. So it's called Play Play, because in Singapore we have this you know, saying called "don't play play," which means don't mess around. But in this case we mean like play play. So really play. And we found that play was something that we could generate ideas from. So for example, the dining table. The dining table is also a ping pong table, right? It's also a ping pong table because compact spaces, and you pay a lot of money for your flat, so you need to have as much mileage as possible. Coffee tables, they can take off the top, so you get more coffee table, you know, because your apartment is small when your friends come over. Or a TV console that when you walk past, on one side is color, on the other side is wood, so it's a lenticular effect. So the TV console can't move, but you move and something happens, something magical happens. Yeah. And this last one is inspired by all those street stalls that we see in any Asian city that's selling food. So you prepare the food here and then you serve it over the counter, you know, like your mee bakso or something like that. So this became an inspiration for a desk. Yeah. So these are all these are all art directed by us. Want to be funny, you want to be like, haha, that's pretty funny. I'm going to share it. I'm going to publish it in the magazine, you know. So that was also very important for us. So this is a second collection, something lighter, more supplementary pieces, a sofa with a small attached table. So you don't really need a side table because of the apartment again. Yeah, so that's the entire collection. You can see the colors and also the wood we had to use. So on top of that, we use Indonesian mahogany, but because of the market demand, we have to use oak and also beech. And this was done last year for this Red House restaurant. So what it is a historical restaurant in Singapore, and they wanted to rebrand themselves. So it's the sons and daughters taking over the father's business, right? And they were thinking like, how do we position ourselves? We're a Chinese restaurant, but we're not like, you know, like Chinese restaurant, but we are like a Southeast Asian Chinese restaurant. So how do we be inspired from our, you know, this region's Chinese influence? So so we designed all the furniture. We designed the dining hall, the main dining hall furniture, but also the VIP rooms as well. So we let ourselves to be inspired by this kind of mid-century pieces. Because all these, I mean, like one of the most famous chairs in Asia is actually copies of or like inspired by the Tone Cafe chair, you know, the one, something like this, right? It's everywhere. So somehow it has entered into our cultural vocabulary, our cultural symbols, you know, oh, that's Southeast Asian, but actually it came all the way from Vienna, you know, because it was the first flat packable chair, right? The Tone number 14. Yeah. So these are all colors, you know, these are Peranakan, Guigues. This is a piece of modern art. And then this is the inspiration board for the VIP, you know. So whenever you go to a Chinese restaurant, you think of the chairs, it usually looks like this, you know, very heavy looking, as I said before, heavy, right? Heavy looking, very, you know, luxe looking, you know, this kind of closed back, high back kind of thing. So you get this exclusive feel. So we let ourselves to be, so this is a beautiful example of you know, rattan work. This is a rocking chair by Werner Penton. Yeah, Werner Penton. This is something more contemporary. Yeah. So these are all the color schemes that we worked out with the interior designers. Like, so this is the main color. So these are the colors that represent the entire project. Yeah, so still some renders for the first thing. This is the VIP chair. So something that kind of encapsulates you. We didn't want to use rattan on the back or seat because in a restaurant situation, it's going to get destroyed very fast. So best to leave it onto the armrest where it's less traffic. Yeah. So this is the restaurant itself, and this is the chair. So one thing we realized, I think also Dennis mentioned, is that when you have a lot of chairs in a space, it affects the interior ambience, right? So we wanted this transparency. So when you step in, it feels like a resort. It feels a bit lighter. It's not so. It feels airy. It feels light. You know, you can still see. It's still transparency between through the whole space. Yeah, so you can see it's contemporary, but at the same time you know where this chair is coming from in terms of origins, cultural origins. Yeah. And this is the rest of the restaurant. So this is where you walk in. It's a beautiful restaurant. If you come to Singapore, I mean, pandemic willing, you can come to the restaurant. It's at the Grand Coptham. Yeah. And then these are the private rooms. And in private rooms, you can see our chair. Right. So what we wanted was to let people, because the top edge of this backrest is the highest traffic, is where people touch the most. So we wanted that first touch to be like, this feels like a solid chair, and you put it out. But at the same time, we don't upholster it because, you know, a lot of dirt can get stuck and comes black in no time. So this is also very clean and very easy to maintain kind of situation. Yeah. And we didn't go the rattan option in the end because the owners were still scared of kids poking their fingers into the rattan and destroying the weave. So okay, no problem. So we just changed it to a nice upholstery. Yeah. And this restaurant actually, we didn't design this, but all these wallpaper were also hand drawn by a local illustrator, right? And all the tiles, they were also custom designed by the interior architects themselves in terms of being inspired by Singapore, Peranakan, Southeast Asian, Chinese influence. Yeah, so there was really this push into like everything in a restaurant is designed by a Singaporean designer. Okay, and then now we move to an even larger scale. Okay, so this is called Play Pipe. It's for life at Funan. It's pronounced life, not live. Okay, life as in living our lives, our best lives. So it's a co-working, co-living space. So what happens is that normally when a huge company that send a team to Singapore, they need to rent an apartment for the team, and then they need to rent a workspace for the team, right? So this is a combined situation where the team works lives upstairs and then comes down to work in a co-working space, you know, one of those cool things. So this is in downtown Singapore, Funan. So they tore it down, they rebuilt it and opened last year again. So we let ourselves to be inspired to by tubes, by playgrounds, by colors. Because tubes, you know, you can go in any direction and it's very playful and plus powder coated and strong, right? I mean, when people see it, people recognize it. It's a playground thing. I'm going to go play on it. So we were in charge of designing both public furniture for the lobby, for public areas, and also the room furniture. So we supply about 600 to 700 pieces of furniture to about 300 to 400 rooms. Yeah. And these are all manufactured in outside Jakarta, in Tangerang, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a concept. These are all the public furniture, a bunch of rockers in the same language. Ping pong, because everybody loves ping pong. So the ping pong table from the Play collection actually inspired the commission for this one also. Because a co-living space needs a ping pong table. So as you can see, this is the upgraded version. One of the legs becomes a metal cage, metal rods cage that you can fill with a lot of ping pong balls. So the ping pong balls become part of the design language, design texture even. So you have unlimited ping pong balls, so you never be poor of ping pong balls. And then you can keep the net and the bats and whatever underneath in the drawer. It's time to work. This is another table for another room. It had to be a central pillar table because it was the seating had to be it couldn't be a four-legged table. So we're just thinking like how to make use of the space under in that central column. So we decided to call it a home table. So that's where all your laptop bag or whatever they go in there when you're in the room. Last but not least is the chair. So we also designed some stacking chairs. They were durable, yeah, and easy to grab. You know, so when you see so it's a D35mm metal bar. So something that, you know, from memory that you want to grab and pull and move, and also some dining chairs. So this was, yeah, crazy unpacking. Yeah, my guys were crazy unpacking all the pieces. And this is the space. This is the lounge where you enter the check-in area. This is what you see. You can also work here. So in this project, there were also other design pieces. So these are from Hay, and some from Gabriel Tan Design, if you know who he is, and some from Nathan Young. Yeah. And this is the room itself. So they come in duplex versions, you know. So you could have, you could stay with all your colleagues. Not sure if that's a good thing. You can stay with all your colleagues, and then you can go to work later. Yeah. So you can see all the furniture in context. Yeah. Okay. And now I'll just show you something that we did. If you come to Singapore, is it possible? You come to Singapore, it's still installed at Takashimaya and Marina Bay Sands. So this is something that we love to do, which is window dressing, and in this case for MS, because it allows you to dream. And the context for this was like, now pandemic is over, people are going back to shopping centers. You know, how do you welcome the shoppers back? You know, in this kind of situation and mood. Right, so it was about robots that are friendly, you know, because when you think of robots, you think about the past, which is kind of like, you know, they could do anything. There are these fantastical dream worlds of how robots could be our friend, could help us do a lot of things and live a wonderful life. So this is, so we based our robots off like everyday humans, you know. So this is a man and his dog, and the dog is a very nice bag. robot dog bag. And then the coffee spilling out of his mug is a tie, you know, and the shoes are displayed here. So it's cool that you can wear 3 pairs of shoes instead of 1 pair of shoes if you're a robot. Yeah. And then this is at Marina Bay Sands. It's a mother and daughter. So you can see that the daughter is being pulled away by her scarf drone. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun, you know, because Paris side, they give us a lot of freedom to come and articulate like what we think is a thing about happy technology. Yeah. So these are some skater robot girls up the ramp. So they flank the door of the boutique. Climbing, because robots should be living their best lives as well. So this guy is rock climbing. And they just have small windows, and we have to think about, okay, so how do we make small windows out of MS products? So in this case, these are 2 tires on a swing. You know, so the whole experience for this, right, is that we put ourselves in the shoes of the shopper walking past, and they walk past, like, and then for like maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds, they get lost in this, like, oh wow, what's going on here, you know? So MS is one of those companies that actually invest in a lot of resources into their windows, as opposed to like the rest of the luxury brands, if you noticed, even in Indonesia. Yeah, so this is something quite cool about them. Yeah, a lady and her balloons, a balancing robot, you know. Yeah, a bunch of balancing robots again over here on the seesaw. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Is Abi there or? Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hanwei. So yeah, it's really interesting, and I think it's good. Yeah, the session started from Dennis, orang bule, terinspirasi Jawa, and then creating Javanese-inspired furnitures. And then I remember Dennis is one of his first exhibition is also actually in Germany, in Cologne. And then there's Shahril, who is also Southeast Asian designer and work with a unique kind of approach, able to embed the heritage or his inspirations into really subtle kind of products. And then there's you, Singaporean designers, together with Francesca, of which able to create all these extraordinary things. So as a Singaporean designers, what brings you, what influence you more in terms of positioning yourself as a Southeast Asian designer or as a designer as a whole?
I think something that I find quite exciting is always to talk to. I mean, I love my designer friends, but I always hang out with my architect friends. I hang out with my restaurant friends. I hang out with my hotel friends. You know, just because I think at the end of the day, design is to serve a certain context, a certain business, a certain kind of user or groups of users, right? So I get insights from them, and they tell me like, okay, restaurants are going to be like this, or hotels are going to be like this. So I let myself and also Francesca, ourselves, to be inspired by this kind of external information. But at the same time, I mean, that is to understand like where we can make impact. But at the same time, we also need to understand like what kind of message or what kind of story, what kind of values that we want to give to them. I mean, to be honest, we could easily design Scandinavian looking stuff, right? Or Japanese looking stuff. I mean, whatever can sell in the market is possible to design to a very high level, a very high degree, and it'll be successful. But I mean, that's a bit boring, right? To some extent, that's why we're talking here. So I think something that we have kind of discussed many times over the years. She's Italian, I'm Singaporean. I'm actually ex-Malaysian, ex-Malaysian, right? My parents were Malaysian, right? I was born in London, right? So it's so we always have this discussion. So what is the kind of the main storylines that we want to respect, but also to create from and also to communicate, so that our clients know who to look for when they want certain things done, you know. So we don't appeal to everyone, but we are the guys to go to for certain situations, you know. So in this case, I guess we let ourselves be inspired by the business. So for example, the Funan project, the one which is our largest scale project ever, now it seems that because of the whole recession from COVID, right, from the pandemic, I talked to some architect friends and said, no, we're not really affected because our projects are still going. The budget has been set like 2 or 3 years in advance already. Maybe we have a problem in 2 or 3 years time, not sure yet. But moving forward, they still have the budget because it's been set in 2017, 2018, right? So oh, that's interesting, that's interesting. So then I begin to present our work and philosophy to them, to this kind of customer, and say like, okay guys, this is what we can do, this is what we have done for this kind of project. Is there any project that we can get ourselves involved in, you know? So I mean, I have to wear 2 hats, you know, half a hat, actually, half a hat designer, half a hat businessman, right? So design is, I mean, business is also a design project, right? Facts, right? The hustle is a design project. So it's exciting, you know, because at the end of the day, it's all data, right? Be it the line on the leaf or the how things are woven, or like how much money is spent on things being replaced in a restaurant. These are all this information, you know, and I think as a designer, I'm inspired by all these factors. So when we design something, it's very 360 degrees considered and therefore valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's what I like from all of you. It brings a lot of perspectives. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, for example, sometimes here in Indonesia, when we talk about culture, people tend to try to derive everything directly from what is already existed, or what is already, you know, given as a heritage from some times ago. And then, but sometimes, or you know, like, we also need to understand that we as a designer is actually going to create our own heritage for, you know, like for the next several years. So this kind of process, this kinds of mindset could be really interesting. And for all the participants that already joining us here through Zoom, you could already share some questions through the group chat. Bagi yang ingin bertanya di Zoom, itu bisa langsung lewat group chat. And there's also YouTube. You could also wait, Dennis. Wait.
Okay, sorry.
Dennis tidak sabar, senang saja. Okay. For anyone that would like to ask some questions from YouTube and joining us from YouTube, you would also share some question on the chat there. Yeah, bagaimana, Dennis? What do you want to say?
Just wanted to ask, is it okay for us also to ask 1 or 2 questions? I mean, we should prioritize the participants. There's just 1 or 2 things that super interest me to ask.
Yeah, you could text on the group chat, and I could, you know, like try to think that you're one of the participants.
Okay. I hold it back then.
No, yeah. Okay. So, but before we came to the questions with all the participants, there are already some sharing some questions. I would like to, you know, share some discussion with all of you. So you've been seeing all each other's works, and yeah, as I already mentioned several times, it's always interesting to share this kind of perspectives. Yeah, someone from the Far East or someone from the Far West getting inspired from the other part of the world, and then sometimes we also would like to share some you know, some kind of our own identity in terms of design in the global market, for example. So for all of you, what do you think is really important as a designer or as a brand that are based in Southeast Asia? I know some have already share on your presentation. But maybe after you are all seeing the works from the others, maybe you could share some other insights. Dennis, you could start.
Yeah, I found interesting what Shahril shared, that after fairs in Milan and Delft, that he noticed that people really ask a lot about the story. So that is quite in the direction of what I experienced in Cologne. So I think that curiosity of clients is growing to understand more of the production process, the inspiration of an item, etc. So I think it's actually a great time, because Southeast Asian culture is so rich in details and beliefs. So it's actually a great timing for products that incorporate that to fulfill that kind of curiosity for something really new. So yeah, I still have the questions on my mind, which I would quickly like to ask to Shahril, if I may. It's just, I was quite fascinated by your Sorambi bamboo chair. And because I also work with bamboo, so I noticed that it's quite difficult in the production, because it brings together a few different skills and also ways of using the material. So one is mainly the basic pole that you bend on the top. Then you have laminated bamboo parts, etc. So we say it's important to market the kind of stories and stuff, but what kind of challenge did you face in producing that chair? Are the skills all available? Do you have to develop them? Do your supplier provide insights on how to manage your ideas? Or maybe you can elaborate a bit on that process.
Okay, that was a prototype for a study. So during those time, we tried to combine a few production technique that is possible on the current bamboo productions. So the challenge was because bamboo is different from wood, but most of the production process kind of using the production techniques from the wood itself. Yeah.
So the bending on the top was with heat, right? There was some spots.
Heat, and it's a handmade, a manual.
Yeah.
And the seat and the support is from the machine itself.
That one was laminated bamboo, right? For the
laminated
seat and the top beam. So all these techniques you could readily use in Malaysia, or you would have to kind of develop with the producer as well?
It's not available yet in Malaysia.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't have those craftsmen, unlike from your area in Jogja or Indonesia.
Okay.
So that's what the limitation that we face here in Malaysia. So we have all those technologies and machinery, but on the craftsmanship, we lack of the how to say, the people who are really good at it.
Okay.
Even from the VAS, we are trying to get supply from Taiwan and Vietnam.
Quite satisfied. So I can tell him to visit Jogja so we can think about these details a bit together.
Sure.
Okay. So what about you, Shahril? From my question, regarding the, as a Southeast Asia designers, how do you think is the more suitable for us to differentiate our positioning compared to other designers from Asia, from other parts of the world?
We could start by try to redefining Nusantara, what we have in common, because every country we have different culture, different subculture, different preference. But if we could agree on something that is common about all of us, then I think we could try to recreate or redefine a new style. For example, I like what a fellow Singaporean of Hanwei, Gabriel Tan, did with Ariake.
Yeah.
So he tried to merge all those elements from the Japan traditional design with a kind of a twist from West. So I guess it was really refreshing. And we can try to strike a balance between how to say climate. I mean, we live in the tropical climate. So why don't we come up with something that reflects tropical from Southeast Asia, not tropical from the Brazil, for example? Because in Europe, they have like design from Scandinavian and design from Mediterranean, which has really strong traits of each design styles. So if we could somehow elaborate or research more on the tropical elements of our climate, we could get something more in common. Apart from that, maybe some material or some common traditional traits, and we could translate that into form or design elements that we could share together and come up with a Neo Nusantara, for example.
Great, thank you. So, wow, it's interesting, yeah. Re-identify the Nusantara. So it's not only about Malaysia or Indonesia. It's the connection between all these different cultures. And
Yep.
what do you think, Hanwei? I think your approach is more, what's it called? Yeah, a bit playful, a bit.
Expressive.
I think expressive, yeah. A bit out of the box, a bit of.
Yeah.
I think it's well, it's not textbook. Your process is not the way that we maybe some learn in the school. Yeah, if we try to propose your kind of concepts, maybe not many manufacturers or company or brands here, for example, in Indonesia, that would be really interested to do this kind of things, because here we work with a lot of factories, a lot of manufacturers that for them it is more important to be able to sell more. But your projects are mostly one of a kind or really unique products. So what do you think?
I think what you say is correct, because I mean we have been looking into the situation in terms of the creative business culture in Southeast Asia is because of our manufacturing backgrounds, right? I mean, we manufactured for the West, for North American markets and things like that. You know, huge players are still doing that these days. So, I think for designers to work with brands is really like searching for a meaningful life partner. You know, either you get along or you don't get along, and it's okay. You know, it's okay if we don't get along. I'll just flick on Tinder or talk to some friends about meeting someone else, right? It's no issue. So also I think it's important for a designer to kind of identify what he or she or they stand for, and then look in the market, like which brand I could work with so that I can bring value to their clients, but also manifest and make into reality our vision. So I think that's the kind of self-awareness is very important. Like, what does Southeast Asia mean to me, right? that's the number one question to ask, because that will be the thing that you make all your decisions with, right? So for us, it's playful, it's young, it's energetic, it's contemporary, and we know that the customer is someone who is well-traveled, who knows what's happening in New York, who knows what's happening in Tokyo or whatever, and on Melbourne for that matter, you know. So they are very smart kind of international clients. But I think I want to pick up on what Shari was sharing. I really enjoy your work, Shari, by the way. I think the chair, the one that was about the veranda of the house, of the traditional house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think for me that's very meaningful because it's talking about the essential feeling, spirit of that.
Not the visual itself.
Correct. So
Yeah.
it's not derivative. It's not like A to A kind of translation. It's A to somewhere else. You know, so it's like when you talk about it, I do get the lightness. I do get the spaciousness. You know, and also in other work like the one about the tall grass bending and the chair. You know, so I think that is something that is a very good strategy for all the designers who are listening. It's like, so what are these special geographical, could be, or cultural aspects that is only available in Southeast Asia, but then you have to kind of abstract it, you know, squeeze it to a very high level, so you get this very, very pure juice that when you drink it, that is Bali. Like when you drink it, that's Singapore, you know, and not something like that that's too obvious. I think when it's obvious, then you lose some sophistication, but when it's very essential, very, very minimal, like as you said, I mean, you are right, because these days contemporary homes and spaces, they kind of tend towards more contemporary, international looking design, but they still want some kind of local accents or local flavor inside them. Okay, I'm not talking about the Facebook or Google style, where it becomes too weird and too playful. But I'm talking about where it's really integrated. When you step into, like, for example, this Australian makeup brand, Aesop, however you want to pronounce it, Aesop, right? In each city, they commission the designer of that city to design something. So, for example, in KL, it's designed with zinc roofs, because in Malaysia, zinc roofing is very popular. So they stack all the zinc roofs and they make it into a store experience. So it's very beautiful. It's very sculptural. It's very Japanese. But then when you see, hey, isn't that zinc roof but stacked up and used to make the facade and the shelving system? Then I think that's when Southeast Asian design becomes meaningful, and not just the usual expected kind of symbols, you know, like this color or that symbol or that. It goes beyond that. It rises to another level. You know, it's like how Japan has done it, right? It's how Scandinavia has done it, right? It's still, you know where it comes from, but they managed to bring it to such a high level that it becomes international. And I think that is the kind of strategy that you know, Southeast Asian designers can really use.
Yeah.
Great. So we have several questions already now. And this one is from Wenny Wang. So the question is, what is the biggest challenge faced by the furniture industries in Southeast Asia right now? Is it the lack of platform for designers to share with the global market, or the endangered traditional culture, or the lack of connection between designers and local producers, the limited research, etc.? And what would you like to see changing for the next few years? So,
can I try to answer?
Okay, great. Go ahead, Han.
Yeah, so I also teach at a university in Singapore as well, furniture, of course, industrial design. And the thing that really, how do you say, shocks me, I can use the word shocks me, right, is that I know much more about European design than I do about Asian design. Like the gentleman that Dennis worked with for the new Rattan a series that he wanted to update because it was the contemporary version. Like, I don't know who he is. Like other than Abi or like Elvin T, you know, I know zero Indonesian designers. Maybe it's my ignorance, but I also feel that it's not in our design education. You know, I learned everything about like a Bauhaus. I learned everything about Gestalt. You know, I learned everything about all these great design movements, but they're all European or like Eames. You know, so I know all the European designers better than I know, which I find, I'm not sure if this is a thing, but I think that is quite a crucial factor when we are educating our designers, is that we don't know what we have, right? I never knew what we have in terms of Asia until maybe I met Abi on a SFIC trip to Cirebon. Said, oh damn, you know, Rattan, wow, you know, like I didn't know, 0, you know. So I think that's a difficult thing because of that, right? Because of all the great marketing and all the great heritage brand culture of all the international brands, mainly European and American, maybe some Japanese, have already, right? That as even for consumers, they don't really desire like a Asian brand. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no kind of brand recognition or brand culture. It's like, yes, I need to buy from this. Like our biggest brand is just all food, right? Or something like that. Or something like that, right? Food. Exactly, right? Tea bottle, right? I love tea bottle, right? So, so that is something maybe it needs to be addressed. I'm not sure how, but I think that's one of the big reasons that like why, because it's a hand-in-hand thing, right? Consumers and designers and businesses, if there's a demand for it, I'll produce for it, right? So I mean, coming back when I moved back from Europe to Singapore, I was desperately seeking for like brands to work with, but I found that, oh, I'm sorry, as Abi said, right? They produce a lot. They're not interested in R&D, new IP, which I understand because that is their business. It's okay, it's cool, right? So I don't know how to start this chicken and egg kind of situation, you know? So where's the egg gonna come from in terms of like, Singaporeans or like Malaysians or like Thais or like, okay, Thais are quite healthy, but Indonesians, you know, all of us kind of want, you know, all this kind of locally branded stuff. As Scandinavians love to buy Fritz Hansen, they love to buy Carl Hansen, you know, Scandinavians support Scandinavians, Germans support Germans, Europeans, Italians support Italians, right? But in our case, our consumer culture is rather quite different.
Okay.
Can I add a bit?
Yes, I just want to call you, but yeah.
Okay, sorry. What is so true, yeah, about Scandinavian design, skills, materials, it's so well researched, documented, and established brands. So when we talk about Southeast Asia, a lot of the skills and materials are very scattered and very much not developed, so that you could say you have an amazing project in Singapore, or today I use the Mendong weaving for Joksha to make 500 pillows. So the problem is all these untapped amazing skills and materials, they are there, but they are not yet ripe to harvest. So what is very much needed is a strong entrepreneurial step to help local craftsmen and local small companies to come to a next level where they could actually supply their great materials and services to designers like you. Yeah. So, and in the question it was, what is the main challenge? Lack of good designers, or what? So what I feel, what I can observe here in the area of Joksha is, like I showed you in the map, there are 20, 30 amazing skills, but whenever I go to local craftsmen, so rarely I bump into students from here, or so rarely I bump into designers from bigger cities or something. So I feel one really has to go into this micro level, into small villages, and develop with the craftsmen to have a really, really new innovative material or skill. Like also when one of your clients asks for Asian insights, for example, maybe there is this one for something completely new, you cannot yet harvest it or offer it to that client because it's not yet ripe at that level, but there's a huge potential, but it needs that entrepreneurial step on the very local level, and entrepreneurial and documenting step, yeah, where the availability and the problems are documented yet.
I think, sorry, Sharon, just to add on to Dennis's point as well. I think it's also how these craft industries could grow big at scale. You know, like why Vitra is so huge, why Herman Miller is so huge, why Steelcase, you know, all this Hayworth, huge office and also domestic and hospitality furniture companies are so big is because they can do a good product many times, have great after sales. I can replace 10-year guarantee and things like that. So these are all things that are component of large-scale business, which in my opinion, at this stage, I'm not sure how developed that is yet in Indonesia. I mean, there are a lot of players in Indonesia that supply, you know, like Picket and Rail, or like huge North American supply chains and big box stores in the US contain like, I don't know, 30 containers, 50 containers a month kind of situation. So a lot of the local industry, they can do it, but it's not for the domestic market, it's for international market, right? And because of that kind of scale and the kind of like, I see it everywhere when I step into an American hotel, I see this furniture, it becomes the furniture, you know, and people just start wanting that all the time, you know. So it's just because they have so much, it's seen all the time, that it continues to grow and grow and grow. Whereas I feel so it's really, I mean, end of the day, it's all business. And I'm just curious about, you know, when there's a tipping point of Indonesian, Singaporean, Malaysian businesses that say that, okay, now we need to make something that we're proud of, and we're going to sell the hell out of that and make sure it becomes a, you know, when there's enough, then it becomes a style. When there's not enough, it doesn't become a style. So yeah, because that is something that I always face. Like I do have clients, hey Han, I saw that nice rattan lamp that you designed. Can you try to do it for my hotel? And like, okay, let me ask my guy in Indonesia and Cirebon, right? And then I try to do a few test runs, but the QC kind of, you know, doesn't hit enough high percentage for me to be confident enough to tell my friend, yes, I can supply you 200, 300, 1,000 lamps. So there's a business opportunity is there, but the manufacturing of the craft, industrial craft, I'll call it industrial craft, need to come up to the same level as well. So again, another chicken and egg kind of situation. Yeah. In my opinion, from what I've seen. Yeah.
Okay, Shahril, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I guess I share all the points. We need more and more, actually, a balance of business and designer. It's a chicken and egg situation. Designer need more support. I mean, project from all those businesses, and the businesses need actually employ or engage with the designers if they have R&D, which currently they are mainly OEM business. So it's really, really difficult. For example, in situation in Malaysia, for furniture designer to survive. So again, you need to have a multiple business, not just furniture, but other creative industry as well, to support you along the way.
Ya, untuk semua yang mungkin menyimak tadi, beberapa kata kunci pertanyaan mengenai bagaimana sih tantangan desain dari Asia Tenggara ini untuk bisa survive di pasar global. Jawabannya menarik sekali, bahwa diantaranya menurut Sunway dan Dennis itu adalah keberadaan desainer dari Asia Tenggara itu kadang nggak begitu tampak gitu, baik itu di negara tetangga, atau bahkan kalau menurut Dennis itu di sentra-sentra industri atau sentra pengrajin. Jadi kalau buat desainer gitu dari mungkin apalagi yang base-nya di Jogja, di Cirebon, di Jepara mungkin, atau di Semarang yang banyak pabrik, itu harus sering main gitu ke sana. Apalagi yang dari luar kota ya, atau bisa dari Bali, Jakarta mungkin yang nggak terlalu banyak workshop, bisa bermain ke tempat lain. Lalu kata kunci lainnya dari ketiganya ini, dari Dennis, Sunway, dan Shahril, adalah mengenai pentingnya pemahaman tidak hanya dari segi sudut pandang desain, tapi juga bisnis. Okay, we move to our second question. It is from Sahrul Hidayat. For all speakers, as a designer, how is the way for us to be able to be consistent to create our works? So Sahril, maybe you could answer first.
One keywords or motivational words would be never give up. You need to do all over again, do and never stop until you get to the point that where you can identify yourself, get to know yourself, because you cannot get to know yourself by just producing one project or two. You need to be produce more and more, and then eventually you will get to know yourself and try to be consistent and develop, because every time you deal with new projects or do new design, you will learn something new, and those things that you learn from those projects you can bring and then modify or even improve for the next projects. The keywords is never give up and be consistent. Okay.
Great. Hanwei, as a lecturer, as a teacher.
I think for anything to be consistent, you really have to, how do you say, own it, be passionate about it. You know, it's a lifelong practice. You know, hopefully I can be so fortunate to die in my studio. You know, one day just drawing a chair and just die, and then he died on a chair, and that's the last chair I ever designed. That's quite a goal, but maybe not. Let's see. But I think you need to see, because consistency means sitting down and getting work done. Sitting down and be inspired, not getting inspired. Getting inspired is for amateurs. Okay, being inspired is being professional. So that means there is, and this you can read up. It not only applies to furniture designers or industrial designers. It applies to anyone, to writers, to anyone who's doing a creative job, business owners, right? So from what I do is that I have a habit of running almost every day. So I have to sleep soon, so that I can wake up at 5:30 a.m. to go and run. And then I stop by 7:30. I do my other exercises, a high intensity workout. And then my mind is ready. My mind is ready to create, right? And I observe strict office hours. So I stop work sharp at 7, full stop. And then after that, I watch Netflix. I go and cook a nice meal. I go out to have drinks with my friends, whatever, okay? So for me, being consistent means that you are very conscious and very intentional about what you do at every moment of the day, right? So it's about being in control and not like, you know, wasting time here and wasting time there, but really being like, okay, at noon I do this, at 3 p.m. I do this. That's why coming up with task list is very important. But the other thing about being consistently inspired, like inspiration, you know, like where do you get it from? Is really to talk to people who are not designers. Yeah, like for me, it's very interesting to talk to anyone who is not a designer, because we talk to a designer, it's fun, but you know, we can talk about industry and stuff like that. It's no issue. But when I talk to architects, oh wow, I didn't know that you can think about things that way. Or when I talk to someone who runs a restaurant, again, like, oh wow, I didn't think that you could think about getting together as a dining experience that way. You know, okay, then like, oh wow, maybe I could design a new restaurant. I could design a new chair, a new table. You know, now with social distancing, maybe there needs to be a new table, for example, in terms of material, in terms of shape, in terms of so on and so forth. So being consistent is also being consistently eating a good diet of information from people and also from internet, and not just TikTok and IG and all that stuff. It's fun, but that is a fast food diet. You want high quality diet like podcasts or like coming to webinars like this, right? I'm sure you guys learn a lot in 2 hours plus. You learn a lot. It's a very high density, high value time spent. So I think being consistent is also going in very deep, but also like sometimes you got to like at 7 o'clock, you just like, okay, today I did a good job. Tomorrow I'll come back again fully recharged, feeling healthy, feeling good. You know, so I think it's you have to build your design skills, your design brand, your design business brick by brick. You know, no one builds anything just immediately. So you have to trust the building by brick by brick. Yeah.
Thank you, Han. Dennis?
Yeah. Well, from my point, it's a question. Okay, consistent is good. maybe even better if we can get better and better. And for me, a way of getting better and better is specialization and finding one niche where we go deeper and deeper. So in the example for santai, maybe for bamboo, yeah, a new material. Every time we have a new product, we learn one new joint, we learn one new ability of bamboo that we haven't used yet. So I think every time with time, every time we get better. And specialization also in the field, choosing the material, choosing the partner, because like Hunwei said, there are promising items, but you don't have much experience with that production partner. So you're not, we say not brani, you don't want to take the risk to go there. So that's also something I learned here. In the beginning, when I started santai, I thought, okay, this week I do leather, next week I do rattan, then I do, it didn't work like that at all. So I feel one need to really focus on one material, one production partner, and then learn and learn with that partner on and on, understand the skill and material until one can really create a great product. So my advice would be to really, really focus a material, a production partner, and in terms of inspiration, maybe also one area actually. I like the idea of Nusantara, but for me, it's like to find something really special. It's rather going to the smallest village in Central Java, in Temanggung, wherever, to find something that no one else has seen. So in every field, it's specialization and niche for me that makes consistency or even make us get better.
It's interesting because I think your answer is a bit in the contrary with Shahril, yeah, because Shahril tend to try to work in more fields also, always try to work more and more. And for you, it's important to get focused. As for Hanwei, Han stated it is important to have a rhythm. But I think all these are all the ingredients for what consistency works. Jadi pertanyaan tentang bagaimana supaya bisa berkarya dengan konsisten itu adalah, kalau menurut Shahril, kadang ya mungkin ini tantangan karena Shahril adalah desainer dari Asia Tenggara ya, desainer dari Malaysia, dan sebagai desainer dari Asia atau Asia Tenggara terutama Malaysia, Indonesia, mungkin Singapura juga, Thailand dan negara lain. Ada tantangan adalah ketika menemukan we have challenges in terms of getting I think the right partners, the right factory, the right industry to work with, that we could have a certain kind of assurance to live and everything. Jadi sebagai desainer dari Asia Tenggara terkadang kita sulit untuk menemukan satu bidang yang bisa membuat kita betul-betul istilahnya ya, yakin nih jadi desainer yang fokus di situ aja. Kadang-kadang harus bisa berani untuk bisa berkolaborasi atau bekerja dengan bidang yang lain. Dan Shahril sendiri latar belakangnya tadi sudah sempat disebutkan, sebelum ke furniture itu pernah ke perusahaan Shimano, alat pancing, terus kemudian otomotif dan lain sebagainya sebagai industrial designer. Sementara Dennis, sudut pandangnya itu sangat dipengaruhi juga sebagai factory atau brand and manufacturer. So you need more focus, right? So jadi mungkin itu. Sementara Hanwei sebagai sebagai desainer internasional, itu adalah yang paling penting, itu adalah we have a rhythm, we have a consistency in terms of how to embed this kind of consistency into our daily life work. Okay, another question is from Joe Saurav Mitra. What makes a design everlasting and qualify as a selling point? Who would like to answer first?
A huge question.
Dennis, probably. This everlasting design qualify as a selling point because you're pedagang ya, Dennis, tukang kursi ya.
What makes a design everlasting? I think a challenge that I find in the region often that designers or producers tend to put too much into one product. So what Hunwei also said, I think abstraction is a very important point, to find a way to transport the idea with as little material and elements as possible. So I think very often, yeah, local designs are a bit overloaded. So that's one thing that I learned. And yeah, everlasting is also the quality of the materials and joinery, yeah, so that they prove itself on the market. So yeah, that's the first 2 points that come to my mind. Yeah.
So what do you think, Han?
This could be like a master's thesis or PhD.
Thesis. Okay, so we have another 2 months to answer.
2 years getting my doctorate on this, something like that. Okay, but the short answer, the quick answer, yes, I think back to what Dennis just said, and I said, and Shahril just said, it's really the abstraction. It's taking things from like from the local, but making it relevant to the global. I mean, it sounds very airy-fairy, but what I'm trying to say is that when you think of good design, it just seems universal. And after that, it's like, oh wow, it's Japanese. Oh wow. Oh yes, now I can see it's Japanese, right? So I think the first experience must always be like, wow, that is a breathtaking piece of design. Like if you think of the Eames, if you think of like all the amazing design icons out there, if you put them in one room, you wouldn't know which country they're from, right? I mean, you just know like, wow, these are, if you know zero about design history, like, wow, these are really, really, really beautiful design, Then when you begin to look deeper, as you would with any movie or film or Netflix series or whatever, when you look deeper, then you understand that, oh, that's why it looks or sounds or feels that way. It's because it's from a certain aspect of that country's culture, right? Or their manufacturing culture, right? So I think everlasting design needs to serve the user. It has, these are all Dieter Rams, his tenets, right? Good design is what? Is as little design as possible. Good design is functional, right? Something like that. I'm sorry, Mr. Rams. I need to watch the movie again. So it needs to serve the user, because at the end of the day, it's to support a lifestyle, right? It's to support the life of the user, So what scares me sometimes from like design that is too expressive, I mean, myself included, is that it begins to shout more than the user's needs. Like it's like, look at me, but as opposed to like, I am here, but I am also here to give value to your life. I think that is a question that if I were a piece of furniture, which I always think myself, like, I want to hug, how do I design that? I want to feel, that's so cozy and so nice. What's the material I should use? So I think if you can fulfill like a few of these things in a very, very high level, I see no reason why it can't be everlasting. But on the other side of everlasting, more than just because if you sell a lot of the furniture, for sure it'll be everlasting, because many people will have it, and many people will have a common memory about it. Because everlasting means you remember it, right? I remember this chair from, I remember this house from, I remember this, architecture, whatever, from, this is Japan, or this is Indonesia, this is whatever, right? So it also needs that kind of large scale, be it size or in terms of numbers, that kind of thing to be out there in the culture, floating around in the culture, so that it becomes like a pop song. Like, like why are certain songs or objects so iconic? Is because there's so many of it. It's so many. McDonald's logo, Nike swoosh. When I say Apple logo, immediately it pops up in your head, right? In that sense, I think back to the question of the challenge of having not enough platforms in Asia to kind of showcase and communicate. Guys, Twitter, IG, Facebook, TikTok, these are all platforms that can get you all the views. I mean, like, people like to watch things being made on TikTok, right? Like food or furniture or whatever on TikTok, right? So how come, that is a very, very powerful thing to get trending on TikTok. Like, I know, Indonesian rattan weaving master, go, ding, and then it will go viral on TikTok. Like, like that, or Insta like that, and then like, which account is this from? It's from a Santai account. I'll go and check out their website. You know, so in my opinion, platform is limitless. Platform is TikTok. Platform is IG. You know, of course, you also need the kind of critical recognition from the usual, like, I mean, that's why we go to Milan, right? Or like, that's why we go to New York. That's why we go to Cologne, right? For the Messe, right? It's because when we have that kind of recognition, it's like, okay, a certain culture of this level recognizes my work at their level. I'm confident and I can use this to sell to, and I can use this to get projects, right? Those are the facts, right? Like how does a new customer trust me to give me a project is by looking at my track record, right? So everlasting also means that is part of the everlasting mechanism. Yeah, this kind of recall, yeah.
The memory, what are you, what you make it able to being inside someone's memory.
I mean, for example, everlasting. I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to be everlasting or not. For example, like Rich Chigger or like Rich Brian.
Rich Brian,
in Jakarta, and now he's in America doing his thing as a rapper. Like YouTube, man. So it depends on, these are all things that, I mean, we're designers, right? We can use anything to do anything. So yeah, why not do a podcast, do a YouTube channel, do whatever that can get your message and your creation out there. Yeah.
Shahriar, everlasting and selling point design.
So Dennis talked about everlasting in terms of a good made quality product, and Hanwei talk about things that are iconic. I mean, repeatable things that we see all over again would get into our nostalgic memories. That would be also become everlasting. I guess maybe I tend to agree with Hanwei that the less element or the minimal the product is, it tend to last longer, regardless of trend changing, because of the simplest design would be very adaptable to new, for example, new trends or new movement. So I guess it could be that way also. Maybe design as little as possible. It may be cliche, but it does serve some purpose. Because
okay, this is a tribute to Dieter Rams, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I can understand why Dennis talked about quality and joinery, because tomorrow is Monday, and maybe he's already thinking, I need to go to the factory and need to do this kind of project for production.
Yeah.
Ya. Oke, jadi tadi pertanyaan mengenai desain yang everlasting dan ada selling point, desain yang bisa bertahan lama dan punya nilai jual. Menurut Dennis itu yang penting adalah kualitas, ya, kualitas baik itu material, pengerjaan, eksekusi, sambungan yang rapi, yang tidak mungkin tidak berantakan dan lain sebagainya, itu bisa membuat produk itu everlast gitu. Kalau misalnya dari Hanwei, desain itu harus universal bahasanya, desain itu harus bisa nempel di kepala gitu ya. Terus kemudian itu juga dipertegas oleh Syahril juga gitu, bahwa ikonik, desain sesuatu desain yang ikonik yang semakin sedikit wow effect atau wow faktor atau eksplorasi itu mungkin akan lebih bertahan lama. Dan satu hal yang menarik juga dari kata kunci Hanwei itu adalah bahwa komunikasi itu sekarang lebih bebas. Kita bisa lewat banyak sekali platform, sosial media, bahkan TikTok, bahkan YouTube, bahkan apa. Dan ini juga menjadi satu cara komunikasi borderless. Apalagi sekarang ini juga kita menghadapi situasi itu. We are now facing unique situation. This pandemic has been, half a year. causing a really significant effect worldwide, and also causing like a lot of exhibitions being closed, a lot of platform for exposures are being lost. The biggest fairs are postponed or either closed, and then that's the thing, and that's why we create this event as well. We create this Mayantara is to become the platform for us designers to be able to share our mindset. Jadi ini menjadi satu hal yang menarik di pandemi ini adalah ketika exposure itu terbatas secara fisik, dengan online kita bisa saling terhubung. Jadi ini ada satu pertanyaan terakhir. This is the last question from ZH Ismail for Syahril. I love how your design is highly meaningful, not just to you, but to the culture. If you have one advice for designers who want to work with elements from their own culture, what would it be? Go ahead, Syahril.
Okay. I guess maybe we need to know about ourselves, our culture, our ancestor, because I think in Southeast Asia, because of all the colonial era until now, we kind of lose the connection with our ancestors. We somehow we don't know more about ourselves. So I think the journey or the challenge is that try to learn or try to research more about who we are. I mean, that's kind of the spirit that we have will drive us to look and study more about ourselves. Will result in more motivation, I guess, for us to know about more about the culture, not just by mingle around with our common comfort zone, but also people from rural area or different kind of people who work with this different kind of area, to get more insight from their experience, from their perspective. From there, you can get to know. It's a journey. I mean, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So, do you guys, Dennis and Hannah, would like to add something from the question?
Yeah, maybe just quickly from my experience here. Also, when I visit universities or something, I also very often see that sources of inspiration or ideas are rather tending to look outside of Indonesia. So only recently it's looking inwards. So I have the exact opposite, because I come from somewhere else. So everything here is super new and exciting to me. So I mean, maybe it's naturally like this. You're always a bit more excited by outside, but I guess the advice goes in the same direction. Look inwards and appreciate what's really around you. So sometimes, I mean, maybe it's a bit difficult for the one who grew up here, but sometimes the most old school or the most biasa in that village is actually the newest in my city in Cologne. Yeah? So it's a question also of local pride and acknowledging that it's actually a really cool skill, even though it's just applied to a very basic product, but it can be something big for a global market. So it's a pride to look inwards that could still grow a bit more.
Hanwei? Kunwai?
I think if you're a designer, which I assume you are, like, you became a designer because you like to ask questions. And you wonder why is it like that? Why is it like that? Why is it like that? You know, so the most highest level of design is to ask really deep questions and to understand the answers. You know, like everything that we have in our physical life came from some kind of story, some kind of culture, some kind of reason. You know, like spoons and forks and chopsticks and bowls and chairs. You know. Chairs came from Egyptians, you know, and then I don't know how it came to the rest of the world. There's something to think about. But you know, just understand your culture. Like, why do we use these colors, for example? Why do we use these shapes? Why, like, what is the material palette for memory? You know, that is something that is very powerful in interior design, or from what other designers as well. It's like when I use granite, I get this emotion. When I use weaving, I get this emotion. When I use this color in this combination, I get this emotion, you know. So I think it's very important to be aware of how design affects the emotion inside the user, right? And if you can understand that, right, then you become valuable to a project. You become valuable to architect or to property developer, because you know how exactly to make their customers feel, and they want to come back to whatever business that is or whatever, you know. So how do you translate what you have around you, right? Understand how that works, you know. How does that sound make you maybe that sound in the morning makes you like, oh yeah, it's morning, gotta wake up. Or that smell, that's the smell of the season changing, or my mom's cooking or whatever. If you are able to understand that and break it down and then rearrange it according to your own project, then you become quite an exciting designer. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So we have closed our questions. I would like to apologize for some of you guys that we haven't been able to share your question with all our speakers here, because we actually already 1 hour late from from when we're supposed to end. So it's already 9 p.m. here in Indonesia, in Jakarta, in Jogja, and 10 p.m. in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore. So thank you, Cheryl and Hanwei, for being late. There's one interesting question actually came in YouTube. So it's from Yang. Just a simple question asking, who's your design idol? I don't want you to answer here. I want you to all try to find our YouTube link and answer directly to him. Type it there, okay? But I can answer one thing. It's probably Dieter Ram, because then he share good design, innovative, Shahril, as little design as possible. Hanwei, maybe what do you think?
I mean, I love Mr. Rams, and all due respect to Mr. Rams, but he hasn't really designed anything in the past 30 to 40 years, right? I mean,
he
like,
answered his, you know, his design have to be everlasting.
The visual stuff is like the shelving.
And he lived well for these 40 years without doing any design, Hanwei. That's the important thing.
I mean,
Can you do it as a Singaporean designer? Hello.
No, I mean,
you stop work for 40 years and then you just live by royalty. Wow, that's a dream.
I mean, that's his philosophy, right? I mean, he's a kung fu master of like, oh, I will not design anymore. There's enough stuff in the world, right? I mean, that's why he said, I don't want to be a designer. I would rather be a landscape architect. I think that was something in his movie, right? Something like that. So I mean,
growing
that's
bonsai.
Sorry, say again.
Growing bonsai.
Growing bonsai, yeah, exactly. Every creator in the world has the right to create. You know, it's just yeah, that's his opinion. It's fine. I totally respect it. But I don't know, designer idol that do you have one, Cheryl? Do you have a idol?
For me, maybe it's changing all the time, but I mean the latest one would be how do you pronounce it? Rolex Brothers from France.
Rolex, man.
Nice.
Rolex,
because yeah. I mean they not just the thing that design is poetic or beautiful, but they are able to take things out of a different context on the normal situations. For example, those the aims, pendant length for floss.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, superb. And also the new Serif TV for Samsung. It's kind of put things out of normal context, different kind of context. I mean, those time people use TV, have independent own legs, but more and more now TV become more like something electronic gadgets you hang on the wall. But they try to bring back those essential of TV as a furniture or something object that you adore.
I think
Not
just
just
add on to your point about the Rolex brothers. I think you can still sense the Frenchness in their design.
yeah, it's a very swag, a French swag.
This kind of lightness, this kind of French humor, like ho, 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 you know, this kind of this lightness of life, you know, it's their own language, you know, it's like like an MCU thing or like a DCU thing. It's the Rolex Brothers universe, you know, they have their own language, which I think comes from a lot of, I think we mentioned before, inward looking, like what do I want this line to mean? What I want this shape to mean, what I want this color to mean, this combination of colors to mean, you know. So yeah. I mean, for me, they almost operate on the level of artists, you know. But
yes, because the process, I think they always start from painting or something.
Yeah.
Even the sketch of painting, painting, and then it turns to be more product.
They create a universe first before they say, okay, this part of the universe I can make it into this part of the universe I can make it into a chair. This part of the universe I can make it into a shelf. You know, so I think for me that is very strategic and very sustainable. You know, very sustainable way of designing. Because when you have your own universe, you are never short of inspiration.
Yeah. How about you? How about you?
For me,
Nendo.
No, Nendo.
Play.
We can talk about it privately about Nendo. But for me, I don't know. I don't have. I think it's always changing by who is. So it's not only from furniture. It's also from fashion. It's also from food. It's also from music. It's also from cars. It's also from books. You know. So I think and paint and an artist. You know, an artist as well. You know. So like maybe James Turrell with his atmospheric light artworks. A beautiful Monet painting of water lilies. I think that it brings you to another place. So like, how do you do that with furniture? Still trying to solve it, you know, or like, you know, so I think that's the great thing about design is that you get to eat from many tables. You know, you could eat from any table. It could be from Netflix. You know, it could be from a beautiful Swedish movie. Why not? Right? Like the particular color or the particular shape. You know, like that's really interesting and take it. So I think for me, I don't have favorites, but just some iconic people. You know, like Eames, of course. You know, Eames of them because of the material and the way that they innovated with band ply. You know, I think Konstantin Gricic. Yes, time. Konstantin Gricic. Yeah, because he doesn't care. He just does what he does and he makes it happen. You know, he makes it happen. You know. There's a lot of smart designers. Innovative, you know, Antonio Citerio, you know, all these great Italian masters who are not so hyped
Castiglione.
by producers. Castiglione, they produce great design year in, year out, and they just get the job done, you know. Or yeah.
Hi, Dennis, you're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't have dinner yet. So if I'm getting more pale, that's just because I'm getting hungry. But never mind, I still enjoy the conversation.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
How about you, Abi?
What? You guys, you are all my idols.
Your design idol.
No, it will need another semester to answer this. Okay. It's wonderful actually, and I would like to apologize to all of you speakers and participants that we are way out of our time. Yeah, we are 1 hour late, 1 hour 10 minutes late from our schedule.
But it's not a bad thing though. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think apology from Abi, no one, right? So.
No, because people are leaving actually rapidly, you know. No, just joking. So okay, yeah, I think all this kind of talk should be you know, I think should be interesting if we could do this kind of thing more often. Yeah, to connect all these kind of people from all these kind of part of the world. Yeah, and I think this is, I don't know if one one thing that we could say, a little bit of situations, a little bit of changes of lifestyle that are currently happening is this kind of thing, this kind of online connectivity that are able to connect us with all of you guys. And thank you very much for all your presentations. It's really enlightening for us as an Indonesian, for example, having Dennis Abule creating something from Hana Caraka. It actually should be a trigger to create or to be able to do things more and more. And really interesting to enjoy how Shahril also explained the creative process and how he's able to create all these extraordinary objects with his approach, and also obviously Hanwei's project, which are more into bringing universal language, or what should I call connectivity or connection in terms of approach as a world designer, not only trapped in a certain part of the area, but how to talk beyond all this possibility. So thank you for all still joining us for these 2.5 hours. And we are now reached the end of our session and our webinars. I would like to once again share my gratitude. Thank you very much, Dennis Plumer of Santai Furniture. Thank you very much, Shahril Faisal from Kuala Lumpur. Thank you very much, Hunwai. You need to wake up early, 5:30, to run around Singapore, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so here we are already reached the end of our session. Thank you very much for everyone that are together with us from the start. And for everyone watching, you could still enjoy our presentations from YouTube. The YouTube link you could find on Mayantara Indonesia, and there are a lot of other terms or a lot of other speakers, topics and webinars, interesting topics that could be enjoyed for everyone. So that's all for me. I would like to say goodbye, and we have another we have our last day tomorrow in Mayantara. You could also try to find our Instagram to see what is the topic for tomorrow. Jadi saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih untuk semua yang sudah hadir, untuk seluruhnya yang sudah turut menikmati sesi webinar furniture, materiality, cultural identity in Southeast Asia. Semoga bisa memberikan inspirasi untuk rekan-rekan semua yang hadir, dan juga menjadi satu topik yang menarik yang mungkin tidak akan bisa berhenti kalau diperdebatkan, karena kalau tadi ditonton dari awal itu sebetulnya pendekatan Dennis, Shahril sama Hunwai ini sebetulnya kadang-kadang bertabrakan sebetulnya, dan sangat menarik bagaimana sebetulnya peluang kita sebagai desainer yang ada di sini itu sangat-sangat banyak dan besar. Sekali lagi saya dari host atau moderator untuk acara ini ingin mengucapkan terima kasih untuk semua yang sudah hadir, terutama untuk para pembicara dan peserta. Mohon maaf bila ada beberapa gangguan teknis selama proses penyelenggaraan sesi ini. Sampai jumpa di edisi Mayantara berikutnya. Mayantara adalah satu virtual design week yang diselenggarakan oleh ADPI, Aliansi Desainer Produk Industri Indonesia, dan ITF, Indonesia Trend Forecasting. So thank you very much for everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Hope to see you guys someday. Bye, Shahril.
Yeah,
bye,
sure.
Bye. Would be great to meet you guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and stay in touch, guys.
Yes.
IG, yeah, IG. Okay.
Great. Okay.
Check the YouTube, guys. A lot of interesting comments and questions.
All right. Okay.
Feel free to be in touch with them also, and maybe sell something.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Bye bye. See you guys.
Bye.